Ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I'm struggling today. I'm having higher levels of anxiety, and I just need a little bit of support. Mostly because I'm preparing, so when I hear back from the attorney at Pisgah Legal Services that I've applied for my court on May 8th, I have the information that they need in order to present our case. And I titled this segment Walking in Two Worlds because I'm living in a world that I've lived in for 11 years. Well, really my whole life, but this particular cycle around the wheel, because it's just been a consistent cycling around the wheel, doing the same thing, falling in the same holes. I got this poem a long time ago that talks about that, in the very beginning of this, actually, when my last long-term relationship ended. So I'm living in this world that I've lived in so long, in the dark, and now I'm living in it in the light. And what that means is because I've accepted what it is and have allowed that to be what it is, not just for me, but for everybody. And I'm getting ready to, present my side of the case, or the truth, or the one side of the double-edged sword, which I feel like I have both of, because I see both sides of this. That's why I'm walking in two worlds and attempting to do what he's always asked me to do, which is go up there and cook dinner and be Paul's mom, all the while that I live down here. So nothing has changed. I just have company with us now because his brother-in-law is here. And I'm just living the life that I've been living, a little differently, because I've spent quite a bit of time at the Family Justice Center talking to them and trying to sort this out so that I don't feel like that there's something wrong with me and it's all my fault and I'm the problem and I'm the solution, because that's never the case. That's why there's two sides of the double-edged sword of truth. And when you embrace both sides of that sword, then you have a whole picture, and I'm walking in two worlds with the whole picture. It's very difficult to know what I know and read, part of what I've been doing this morning, which gave me so much anxiety, was I had to go back on my old phone into the text messages back, not to the very beginning, because we've already been to court a few times, so a lot of the story's already been told. So now I just need to go back to the beginning of the story after we left court the last time, when she told us that she didn't want to see us in there again. And now we're going to be in there again, but he doesn't understand my side of this sword. It's just all my fault, and I can't be fixed, and he can't fix it. And that's not true. None of that is true, even though that's part of his side of his sword. So these text messages just make me even more aware of the reality that I see on my side of the sword. And I just feel so much anxiety for our family, especially him being a teacher, because he didn't mean to do this. I've gone through this for 10 years, and I've vacillated between men being evil. They're just all evil. They're just all stupid, because it's the same repetitive thing with each one of them in my life. And then, it got down to, well, I'm the common denominator, and I've just done so much to work on myself that, yeah, I'm not claiming to be perfect, but it's not all me. And I made decisions to come back here after I moved away, and I was in full awareness then of the cycle. But I also see how I was coerced or talked into coming back here against my mother's advice. But I had to, because I wasn't still in enough awareness of it to let it go, or I wouldn't have come back. And I just came back 2 more vision quests later, and I can say that this has been a domestically violent situation that nobody wanted to happen, and nobody knew how to stop it. And I've worked really hard to understand it. And I've been convinced now by the people who deal with this all the time and see women attempt 5 to 7 times to leave a situation that is not healthy. It takes them 5 to 7 attempts to actually come to this place that I have come to. And it's rare that they get there. They just keep going back, even to really violent situations. Mine hasn't been violent, all the time. There's been a lot of emotional violence, which has led to some material, physical violence in the very beginning, which is how I ended up next door. I was too smart to live with that. So anyway, I'm walking in 2 worlds, and I'm reading the text messages, and I'm continuing to hold on to the rock of truth that I did in a fire ceremony where I tied with a ribbon a bunch of dead wood sticks to a rock. The rock was the truth. The sticks were the stories that weren't necessarily true, just my perspective, and I let them all go and came back and saw him through different eyes than when I left. But the pattern is still the same. So I've come up with the same story again. And it's really just the inability to communicate, the lack of trust that has evolved over the course of misunderstood situations and miscommunications. And the ultimate goal that I have is to be able to walk in 2 worlds with the understanding of what's going on, so that everything I do is out of love, because I love everybody. I love my sons, my daughter, this man that I have a son with, my ex-husband, who is the father of my older children, because in everything that I've done in the woods, in everything that I've done with Malidoma Some, and everything that I did in the Adventist church, everything has always boiled down to love. Love wins. And I'm just going to love my father because I am part of him. And if I don't love him, then I don't love myself. I'm going to love my mother. If I don't love her, I don't love myself. And I'm going to continue to love and forgive and face the truth and cling to hope, which is a sure foundation, an anchor for my soul, that the truth will prevail, which is that we all just need to love, look at ourselves. And when we see something in somebody else, we need to realize that it's really in us, because we wouldn't see it. Whatever we see in others is what is in us. That's why I choose only to see love in the midst of suffering and pain, my own pain. And my head wants to tell me why I have pain, but I just have to ignore that and go to my heart and love. So I'm going to continue to go through my text messages and do the things that Belinda and Tim Grove from the CBS segment are telling me to do, and the things that my heart are telling me to do. and seek and search the clues in this world that are going to help me find the answers, because this is where they're at. If I don't search for them, I won't find them. So I have to be really open. My horoscope this week was very encouraging. Let me tell you. If you fly in a passenger jet from New York to London, the trip usually takes more than 6 hours. But on January the 8th of 2015, now I want you to pay attention to that, because this morning I scrolled back in my text messages to the beginning of January 2015, believe it or not, because I had moved away, we had settled custody, we were getting ready to go to court for child support, and I knew he wanted me to come back over here about the money. I knew that, and I think I even said that in some of these messages. I only just scrolled all the way back there and started taking pictures, which now I have to send to my email address and print out for court after I put them in a Word document real organized. I've done this before. But my horoscope this week, ironically enough, and not so ironically, because this is the way life works when we're seeking and searching to figure out the clues. So last week, or a week and a half ago, I got dumped on about this new court thing and everything he's decided, which is fine with me. I've been waiting on him to make a decision for 10 years. He keeps trying to do it this way, going to court. We'll see what happens this time. But life is synergistic. And so he dumped all that on me, and I decided to kill myself, and everybody talked me out of it, and now I'm sitting here facing it all and the circumstances, and I get out my horoscope the other day, and I stick it in the little thing I carry around because it's the current events. This is my news broadcast right here from the universe. Whatever I find, it doesn't matter what it is. I've got all kinds of stuff in here. Heart rocks, a lot of them. Pennies I've found, because I keep rubbing my pennies together, hoping that I'm going to have some support over here to work this out. As I was packing and sorting through my things, I found all the teeth that my children lost over the years. And you'll think that's bizarre, but I've worked with malodoma, and there's nothing more powerful than the physical things that have come into this world that are connected to love. And so those teeth that my children lost out of their head, that I helped them pull and caused them to bleed, but they were suffering before they did it, those are some of the most powerful things that I have found recently that I need to put in here. I have a 50-cent piece that I've saved all my life that I earned from a next-door neighbor that was an old man. That's a story. I cleaned his house and cooked him a meal and made him coffee. He didn't ever have kids, and so I became the child he never had. These are the things I've found that are going to get me through this since I came back from the woods and the dead stump where I spent the night contemplating life and death and suffering and how to live in the right way to relieve suffering instead of make more of it. So, as I'm doing all this morning, the reason I got on here was these two things, my horoscope and my yogi tea, which I'll stick in the little bag because it's a current event. Your strength is your own belief. Well, I do believe that this relationship has been unhealthy, whether he wants to admit it or not. I believe that I've got enough evidence on all of the children to prove that, and I can show how it's been domestically violent to me because he wasn't able to understand about trauma and recovery, and he really never took the time to do that, even though I tried to get him to go to therapists and I tried to talk to him about this. So here we go. If you fly a passenger jet from New York to London, the trip usually takes more than 6 hours. Okay, but on January the 8th, 2015, which is about the time I decided to move back over here when he was starting to ask me to, a powerful jet stream surging across the North Atlantic reduced the time significantly. Okay, so I did something in 2015 that has reduced some time somewhere, and I don't know about that yet. We'll figure it out, but I think I know what it is. Because in 2015, I did a vision quest, and that vision quest, I was told, contact Dr. Phil, and I began doing that via video segments and all kinds of writings. And for